Just look at all you distinguished looking Toastmasters, the LTFs, and guests who have all gathered here on the last Friday of August, which makes this a very August gathering. Now, a couple of days ago, 2 days ago, my wife and I returned from the World Championship of Public Speaking, which was held at Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And just after, about a day after our return, your president, Rajdeep Manwani, calls me and says, "Jai, would you like to be a guest speaker at our club this Friday?" I thought about that for a while, half a second, and said, "Hey, sure, anything for you, Rajdeep." Well, then he threw in a caveat. And he says, "Oh, but you have to be good." So I thought about that for a while, 1 second, and I said, "Sure, anything for you, Rajdeep." Then came the clincher, and he said, "You know what? At Bangalore Toastmasters, we have very high expectations from our guest speakers." Now, I did not respond to him at that time, but I should give you a response now. So, your club is expecting on the threshold of the 9th month. and I shall labor to deliver a speech with no pregnant pauses. In fact, I shall persevere to do so. As Socrates once said, you cannot teach something to somebody that they don't already know, but you can take it to a higher level of awareness. Or possibly Bernard Shaw said that. Now, when you do not know who said something, it's always safe to say either Socrates or Bernard Shaw. You can get away with that. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, guests, LOL. I'm sure all of you are sitting here thinking, what the heck is he talking about? Where is this LOL in all this so far? Well, I have a simple question to ask all of you. How many of you in this room would like to be seen as a great leader? Say yes.
Yes.
Well, you've all given me the wrong answer. Because to be only seen as a great leader is perception. It is how the world is going to look at you. It is not you. You're only going to be seen as one. Let me reframe that question for all of you. How many of you in this room would like to be a great leader? Say yes.
Yes.
Now, there you have it. Because that defines you. To be a great leader is your character because it is inside out. To be seen as a great leader is perception. It is only outside in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, great leadership is an inside job. Now, speaking about an inside job, it reminds me of a very inspiring story that I had read about Steve Jobs, which I thought I'd share with you today. I believe that when Steve Jobs was young, in his late teens or possibly early adolescence, his father once asked him and said, "Son, could you please go out and paint the fence around our house?" So young Steve takes a bucket, fills it with white paint, takes the brush, steps out of the home and starts painting the fence around their home in America. He spends almost half the day or possibly until late afternoon. He then comes back into the house, tired, sweating, perspiring, says, "Daddy, I finished painting the fence." So his father steps out, inspects it, and says, "Son, brilliant job outside. But why so shoddy and messy inside?" To which Steve responds, "But Daddy, who is going to see the inside anyway?" And his father responds, "Son, all of us, every day." Now, several years later, when Steve Jobs founded the Apple Computer Company, he called all his employees together and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I want every machine that goes out of our assembly lines from this factory to be a work of art inside." To which several of his employees raised their hands and said, "But Mr. Jobs, who is going to see the insides anyway?" And Steve responded, "All of us, every day." He then said, "I would want to have the small Apple logo on the corner of our printed circuit boards." And one of the employees said, "Why the apple on the corner of the board?" And Steve said, "Because every master always signs his masterpiece." Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I know that when I bought my first iMac, it was a transparent machine. It was available in strawberry pink, in lime yellow, lemon green, in marine blue, and you could see everything inside that machine through that shell. It was beautiful. It was a collective people would want to just buy it, to just display it. And this tells us all a very important little message. It gives us a little story here, right? An underlying message, which is whatever we do in life, it is all inside out. And leadership is all about that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they say that the greatest leaders in the world are those who actually understand that it is what you are even when nobody is watching. Leadership is what you are even when nobody is watching. Because that will define what you do when you are with your people. So today, I'm going to talk to all of you about LOL, levels of leadership. I'm basing this narrative on a concept which was written by Dr. John C. Maxwell, but I'm giving it my own interpretation. Let me ask you again a very simple question before I proceed. If I told you that your LQ was equal to your IQ, which means your leadership quotient is equal to your you're wrong. It is not intelligent quotient. It is not idiot quotient. It is your influence quotient. Fellow Toastmasters, guess. Leadership is influence. And influence is leadership. Your level of leadership is determined by your level of influence. As Robin Sharma once said, leadership is all about 3 I's. And they are not iPhone, iPod, and iPad. There's inspire, impact, and influence. So let's look at these levels of leadership and understand how it can impact your own lives or in some ways be implemented in the work that you do. Now, I would recommend that you do capture what I say on a piece of paper because it's going to give you absolute clarity when you review it later. But if you do have Intel Inside branded on your forehead, which says Core Duo i7 processor version 2014, you can just listen to me. But there is some psychology study that says that the human brain retains only 10% of what it hears 10 minutes after it hears it. So since this is selective memory, it might just help if you jotted some things down. Now let's look at the levels of leadership. Ideally, the levels of leadership are 5 levels, which is also the level of influence. So if you watched me right now and imagining 5 steps going up from bottom to the top. Step 1, below that step, if you just wrote down position, which equals rights. So the first level of leadership, ladies and gentlemen, is a position that is granted to you by your organization or the institute or the academy or possibly a factory assembly line. It could be a corporate office. We don't know. It could be an airline, the hotel. So it's a position that's granted to you. The easiest example I can give you is possibly the commander of an aircraft. He's the pilot. And that is his position. But because he is the pilot, he has certain rights. So when you hear, ding, ding, ladies and gentlemen, the pilot has just switched on the fasten seatbelt lights. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. You can't tell, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to practice the Gangnam Style dance down the aisle. Turbulence or no, you had better done quickly get back to your seats and put on that seatbelt because the pilot asked you to do that. And he has the right to do that because of his position. So ladies and gentlemen, the first level of leadership is actually given to you by the organization. Because you have a right to ask people to do something because of your position and your title. But there is a catch. And that catch is, at that level, people will do things only because they have to, not because they want to. You can bark orders from above and get away with it, and you will get people unwillingly follow you because you were the superior, the boss, the manager, the commander of the aircraft. You are in power. You are authority. You ask people to do something, they do it. Because you had the right. There was still what level though? There was step one. And you know what is interesting here? If you remain on that step forever, you become autocratic. That is only a dictator. You will have people follow you only because they have to, not because they want to, so they are unwilling followers. Let's look at step 2 now. And if you below that step wrote down permission equals relationships. Now at this level of leadership, what happens is you allow your people to bond with you. You start to establish contact with your people. You realize that relationships matter. You care for your team. You sit down with somebody and say, you know, I hope everything is okay with you. How are you doing? How's your family? Is there some issue you have? Is there a concern you'd like to talk to me about? And slowly what happens is your people start to follow you because they want to, not because they had to. You start to bond. You start to build relationships. You start to connect. And that you allow your people, you permit them to just come to you with their problems or issues. And you tell them, look, I'm here for you. Alright? So this leadership allows you, as I said, to build your relationships. It allows you to establish contact. You are now in connection with your people. They start to like you. Great. That alone is not enough. Because all you have so far are rights and relationships. The next level, or step 3, ladies and gentlemen, is the most significant one. It's the middle level. And this is where below the level, if you wrote down production, which equals results. At this level, the leader starts to demonstrate to his people that he is not all about only barking orders or getting people to bond with him, but he is capable of showing them what needs to be done. Because he produces. He lets people know that results are important. And he starts to get those results because he's already formed those relationships. He has bonded with his people. The people see the leader can also perform, so they start to show results. End of the day, it is also important to note, ladies and gentlemen, that a supervisor is not somebody who just watches people work. He is also somebody who lets people know that when it has to be done, when it comes down to all the nitty-gritty challenges, he's there for them. He can also show results if needed. And the people start to trust him. They know that this man can deliver the goods if needed. So far, if I did a quick recap, you have had leadership by position, which gives you what? Right. Then you had leadership by permission, which builds good. You now have leadership by production, which gets you results. Let's move up one step. Step number 4. Below that, if you just wrote down people development, which equals reproduction. Now, why is this important to any organization? In fact, even a Toastmasters like yours. Because the greatest sign of a leader or leadership is one who can establish a succession plan. When this person is out of that hot seat, who is going to take over? One of the most important things that a leader must know is who does what. So, in people development, the leader starts to develop somebody else who can reproduce himself. As Dr. John C. Maxwell says in one of his books, to become a great leader, develop someone who is a leader around you. That is the fastest path to becoming a leader yourself. So you have therefore started to groom somebody who will take over. The baton change will happen when this person then takes the baton from you. You are successful when you make others successful. That is still the 4th step. You haven't reached the pinnacle yet. So let's do a quick recap again. You start off with the organization, or the academy, or the institute, the airline, or the hospital, etc., or the hotel, giving you a position or a title which gives you certain rights. Good. You climb up and you allow or permit your people to reach out to you and connect with you and bond with you, which builds relationships. Good. You then let your people know that you are not just going to supervise them, you're not going to be just barking orders from above, you're going to show results yourself, but you can produce when you want to, and you can show them how it is done. You will show direction, you will get plans implemented, you will motivate people, and you will get them to willingly follow you. So here's where you start to get results. You then develop your people around you, so you have a succession plan to someone who can take over. And what happens here? You start to get reproduction. That means you will have someone who will be the leader when you are gone. That takes us to the highest level, which is known as, if you like, just right on below the step, personhood. Just like a knighthood. And the key word here being respect. So at this level, you start to earn the respect of those who follow you. You start to earn the respect of your people. You start to earn the respect of those who know you. It is almost as if they applaud you for being there for them. They will hold you high on their shoulders. They will cheer for you. They know you made it happen for them. Now what's really interesting with this whole process, as I said, it was levels of leadership, which is also levels of influences. You started on step 1 by the organization giving you that position and title or rights. Am I right? Yes. But you end with who giving you respect? The people around you. And that is the sign or mark of a true leader. You have earned the respect of those who are with you, who are around you, who follow you, because they do so willingly. Now, this very interesting statistic that has been shown in corporate behavior and in, for example, human behavioral science, etc., where they say, mathematically, if you considered you had 100 people with you at level 1, you start off with your team of 100. In the beginning, you will have to get them to do things because you had a position or a right. That's how you begin. You'll have to get things done. And you are there as in position of authority. I just gave the example of the aircraft, the plane. The pilots say that this has to be done. When air traffic control, for example, from the Kempegowda International Airport tells Jet Airways 9W2735 cleared for landing runway 27L, the pilot can't say whatever, dude. And turn to his co-pilot and say, did he say L or R? Does it matter? Who is he to tell us where to land, huh? I'm the pilot here. No, he can't do that. Because the air traffic control had a certain right and a position to tell the plane where to land. And the pilot better land where he was told. Or it is disaster. I don't want to be on that plane if the pilot is not obeying commands from air traffic control. So, various examples. He had the right, he had the position to ask for something to be done. It is done, whether he or she who follows him wanted to do so or not. So, from that level, if you see, you've gone all the way up to where people are willingly follow you, they're giving you the respect because they know that they can believe in you. So, if you had the 100 people in your team in the beginning, you will find as you go to the second level, you will still have to find or you will deal with people who are difficult. They are still going to require you to bark orders or they will do nothing. So let us say you filter out 20 who still need to be told what to do. You still have to exercise your authority on them. So you leave those 20 back. Now how many do you have with you? 80. You take them to the next level. And you build your relationships with them. You bond with them. You connect with them. They connect with you. You have a great team now. Now please note, those 20 you are leaving behind are still with you. But they're not going to do things unless you're with them. They need to be heard around. They need to be told what to do. That's fair enough. Everybody is not going to be, listening to everything you tell them. So you have 80 with you now who has built a great relationship, but you're not possibly getting results from all 80. So you leave another 20 behind who are good to have around. Great team people, but not very productive, etc. You filter out 20, you have what remaining now with you? 60, with whom you can get your job done. Because they're there with you, you built relationships with them, they started off with your position of authority, but they're also there to work for you, and they are producing or showing results. But that's possibly all they want to do. They don't want to be a leader themselves. So you will leave them at that stage. 20 get filtered out, 40 would like to grow with you. So you take them to the next level. And these 40 are possibly going to be the core people you're going to develop, who will be part of your succession plan, which will of course be your success plan. So these 40 are trained, you groom them for that baton change. End of the day, they like you, they appreciate you. They're not possibly all going to carry you on their shoulders or give you, for example, the applause you needed, but 20 might. So leave 20 behind, carry that 20 up with you. They are the ones who are going to be the most critical people you need around you guys. In fact, it in some ways replicates what Wilfred Pareto calls the 80-20 principle. This is just another example of it. So 20% of your team will be possibly going to get you the 80% of your results or your objectives met. So these are going to be the 2 out of 10 people you really need to focus on, ladies and gentlemen. And they give you the respect. They will cheer for you, as I said, they'll put you up on the mountain. And I applaud you for that. Am I making sense so far, all of you?
Yes.
Now, what was important to remember with this is, this was after all LOL or levels of leadership, but not to forget that the level of leadership is actually also the level of influence. So you must understand that your influence on people around you is going to determine how effective a leader you are going to be. It is just going to be like that little pebble that you drop into a pond, say azule, which is going to create a ripple which readily grows outward from the center to the shore in concentric circles. These are circles of influence you will have on people around you, with you as that pebble in the pond. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have understood what I have just said, you will be able to hold that leadership torch up high over your head, wear that crown with pride, take your people up with you to the top and show them the view, which is going to be spectacular. And you will remember that when you stand on top of the mountain, it is not so that your people can see you, but so you can see your people.